sorry about that, guys. Facebook cut out. I don't know what happened there, but Facebook cut out and I had to go back on. So hopefully that won't happen again. I can try to get back on here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get Master Jack on. Let me just, come on. But as I was saying, basically, for me as an individual, Jack has always been there for me since day one through my training and through all the tournaments that I've been to. Jack has been either an arbitrator or a director out of every tournament that I've been to. It's been one of those things where he's always been there, and I'm so happy that he's, part of my life. And again, I apologize that Facebook cut out just a second ago. We're trying to get Master Jack on right now. And I might need to call him. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm gonna give him time because he's trying to figure it out. Well, we're trying to get him on. We haven't got him on yet, and I apologize, guys. Give me just a second here. All right, so, but when I competed in his first tournament in, like I said, it was 2011 when I competed in his first tournament. And I went out and I did well. I competed in kata, which is basically it's a forms. It's a short word for forms or imaginary fighting, where you do a form where basically someone is in front of you and you're able to get to them, and you show the form, and you're graded on style points and how well the form is done depending on the style and what type of form it is. And then I also did sparring, which for me, sparring was one of the things that really I wanted to do, and I had never seen. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now let me get the radio back up, and I will. There we go. Okay. Keep. All right. Let me just. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a snafu, but now I've got him. All that introduction, I'm not sure if he heard it, but the multi-time world champion, 8th degree black belt, Grandmaster Jack Dart, live on My CP Does Not Define Me. How you doing, Master Jack?
What's up? What's up?
I'm so glad to have you. I'm so glad to have you. It's an honor, man. I've been waiting to get you on my show for so long, and we can finally do this. I just, my opening question, I just want to ask you, what made you decide to get into martial arts and just to totally commit to it? Just give a little bit of that background, if you would, for our viewers.
Classic story of being bullied. I was bullied a lot, even by some family members. That's how bad it was. I was bullied, and my mom, when I got to about elementary school, I was like 5 black kids in Lynn Haven Elementary, and that was when I was born. I was born in like 1958. So by the time I got going to elementary school, that's when desegregation was taking place. So I was too light skinned to hang out with the black folks, and then too dark to hang out with the white folks. So I was kind of pushed off to the side, treated kind of bad. And then it got to the point where I got the kid chasing me home one day, and my mom was like, "What?" I was looking out the window, and she was like, "What you doing?" I was like, I'm nothing. And she was like, that boy was outside there. Yeah, you better not come outside. I'm gonna kick your so and so. And my mom was like, the boy want to fight you. I was like, I don't know. And I started crying, and she was like, you get out there and fight him. I was like, but I don't know how to fight mom. And then my mom was like, she got her broom handle, and she was like, you either fight him or fight me. And I done had that broom handle before. So my mom was, anything could be in her hands. So went out there, and me and this kid got to tussling and got to. My mom said, "What's the problem?" And the boy was like, "I don't like him." She was like, "Why?" And he said, "I just don't like him." And like my mom said, "You got a problem with him?" He said, "Yeah, I just don't like him." You know. So my mom said, "Well, get it out your system. Y'all need to go ahead and get to work this out." So we get to wrestling and tussling with each other, and we got each other in a headlock. I got him, and he got me. And then my mama said, y'all got out your system yet? So I see the policeman pulled up, and I was saying to myself, oh yeah, the policeman gonna break us up. Policeman got out of the car. So what's going on here? My mom said they got a problem with each other, but they're working it out. He said okay. He turned around and got back in the car. I told my mom, I said, what you doing that for? He was like, y'all need to work this out, because if you don't, you're gonna be picking at each other for the rest of your days. So yeah, after it seemed like forever. It was probably about 5 minutes after we held each other for a little while. The kid said, if you let me go, I'll let you go. I'm like, okay. So we should let each other go. And then my mom said, shake hands. We shook hands. And then he actually became one of my best friends in elementary school then. So, that was kind of like, okay, I don't have to fight no more. Then we moved from Virginia Beach to Norfolk, and I was going to Blair Middle School. And a couple of guys chased me home one day, and my mom was like, what you doing? I said, the same thing. Nothing. Like, you need to stop running from people. You need to know how to fight. And I was like, I don't know how to fight. She's like, I told you, if you don't fight, people going to continue to pick on you. So then, so it happened. My mom and her sister, they used to have like a Friday night card game. And one of her friends over there, that boy, which was one of my dad's friends, he was like, yeah, my son just made black belt up at this studio where Mr. Hankins teach at. And my mom was like, is that the guy we went to high school with? She was like, yeah. So I'm taking him up there tomorrow because I'm tired of people running him in the house. So at that point, my mom took me to the karate studio, and she met Mr. Hankins because she went to high school with Mr. Hankins. He was like, oh, my dear, give me a hug. And then he was like, who do we have here? She said, this is my son, Jack. This is what my mama said. He said, what? He's a sister. He don't like to fight back. People will pick on him all the time. So Mr. Hankins said, well, I could change that. If you give him to me and don't interfere with my training, I will change him. And then my mama said, okay. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, shut up, mister. I'm like, okay, shut up. Take your shoes off, get on the floor. And that was the beginning of the journey. So the training was hard. It was brutal. If I knew the number to 911 back then, I would have called him.
Well, I can definitely.
Yeah, man. That was the beginning of the. Can't hear you freezing up.
Yeah, might want to disconnect your video there.
Disconnect the who?
Video.
What video?
Your video. Just turn your video. Yeah. Turn your camera off. I want to see if it'll.
I'm technically. You freezing up now.
Yeah. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So when you, as you get through your journey in martial arts, and I mean, you've been training for such a long time. What made you decide to become an instructor? Once as to train others.
Well, it wasn't really a choice. It was kind of like, I tried to quit a bunch of times. And Mr. Hankins was sending black belts to come get me. And they come get me, they rough me up a little bit. And my mama called him and said, hey, Jack said he don't want to come. If I wasn't sick or if I didn't have homework, I had to be at the studio. So I told my mom, I said, I don't want to go back. He too mean. He too brutal. I don't want to do it. So I tried to quit. So then he would actually send people to come pick me up. So they would rough me up, and then I live 9 blocks from the studio. So they would rough me up a little bit in my house, and then they would rough me up a little bit on the way to the studio, and then they would rough me up when I got to the studio at the end of the night. We fought every night. We sparred every night. We didn't have sparring gear back then.
Right.
So long story short, we ended up. I did the math. I said I'm getting 3 whippings, 3 beat downs, 1 at the house, 1 on the way to the studio, 1 at the studio. I said I do the math. I said if I just go to the studio, I will only get 1. So I would beat Mr. Hankins to the studio. So then he gave me a key. He said, all right, I want you to start clean the bathrooms, dump the trash cans, dust the floor, make sure everything's in order. But see, he was grooming me like Mr. Miyagi was grooming Daniel, doing all of this work. And I couldn't figure out why he was doing all this stuff to me. So I sat up there and he started grooming me. And then when I started getting better in class, and then I started teaching people as his assistant. And then when he stopped really running his studio, I kind of ran the studio for him for a long time, me and a couple of other instructors, because he had got to the point where he didn't want to teach anymore. So after that, I was like, well, daggone, if I can run a school for him, I know I can run one for me. So that's when I opened my own school. Like when he closed his school, he told me to open my own school. So that's when I got with Grandmaster Cheeks, Albert Cheeks. Yeah.
So now, and you've been with several different instructors. You've taught, and being an 8th degree black belt. I mean, you are, and I told this in part of your introduction. You are one of the only instructors in this area that's an 8th degree black belt that's certified for Taekwondo. And just, can you talk about like what it means to be a grandmaster to you?
Well, to be a grandmaster, that's really just a title. That's like a title that you earn over time. I was happy being a 1st degree black belt, really, because it's all about learning the subject matter, not about the title. I could have, my last rank promotion from my teacher, Mr. Hankins, was a 6th degree before he passed away. I was the only one that had paperwork stating that I was a 6th degree. There's others in our organization that claim that they were promoted by him, but they don't have no paperwork saying that they was promoted by him. And but I was the only one with paperwork. Because my philosophy is this: if you get stopped by the policeman and you say, "Oh, I got a driver's license, but I left it in my other pants," as far as the policeman concerned, you don't have no driver's license.
Right.
So that's my same mindset. Is like, well, if you don't have no paperwork saying you're a black belt, then a rank a 6th degree or whatever, then you ain't ranked up. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of go along with the program. If that's what they want to believe, they want to believe. But I run my own my organization. I mind my own business over here, and I promote the Battle of the 7 Cities, my tournament. That's the one that you competed in. So with that kind of stuff going on, I just kind of like do my own thing.
Well, since you opened the door, I wanna ask you this. I met you in 2010 at Battle of the 7 Cities, and I told you that I wanted to compete in your tournament, but I had been to 4 other tournaments, and they basically told me that I could not spar. But you actually gave me the chance to compete in your tournament. I watched in 2010 and competed in 2011. What was it what was your decision in allowing me to spar when 4 others would not, that held tournaments as well?
Well, the thing was, see, we had a guy at our studio named Bernard Christian. Bernard had 1 arm amputated. Bernard could kick you before you blink your eye. Bernard was one of the instructors just to come to my house to get me. He was also one of the instructors that would take the time to teach me how to do the proper technique. And And like I said, I tried to quit a bunch of times, and he told me, he said, you got both your arms, both your legs, you can do everything I can do, and you got your right arm as well. And he said, you are the one that's being handicapped. You're handicapping yourself. He said, people call me handicapped because I got one arm, but you got both your arms. He said, you being handicapped. So dealing with Bernard and seeing how vicious he could be with his technique, and that I learned at that point, never underestimate a person with a disability. So when you asked me if you compete, I said it's up to you. I said you can compete as far as I'm concerned. You taking your own liability in your hands. If that's what you want to do, go for it. So that's why I said I'm gonna get out and let you get out there and see what you can do.
I love the fact that you gave me that chance. That's the one thing that I hold on to. You know, we've been friends for over 10 years, and I look at life, and that chance allowed me to excel in martial arts. You know, and I never thought I would win a grand championship, but I remember something you told me, and you were the arbitrator that year in 2017 in Martinsville, and you said this. You said, when you start winning, you're going to hit a streak. And I won first place in 4 tournaments and in 6 events that year, and it just, I mean, to be black belt of the year, and then to go to Martinsville from 4 in the morning all the way to 2 o'clock the next day. By the time we got back, it was such an honor to win that title. And then I remember, like, you were coaching me in the final round and all the rounds that I was sparring, because I think Mr. Hunter had showed up late, or he came later on in the day, or it was such an honor to do that. And I thank you for that, because you gave me a chance that no one else did. And then after you gave me that chance, everybody else said, well, wait a minute now, he can spar, and it opened the door for so much with martial arts and me.
Yeah, but like I said, look, all you wanted was a chance. Mm-hmm. That's all you need is a chance. If you just open the door, I can do it myself.
Right.
So I said, well, go ahead on, get on up in there and do it. See what you do. If you fall on your face, you know what? At least you tried. Just want an opportunity. You can never know what a student can do unless you give them the opportunity. Sometimes you get students that's overzealous that want to train, then you got some that's very fragile and they don't want to train. But once they find out they can do it, then it's a whole different story.
So do you when you look at a person that has a disability or a handicap or a different ability, do you try not to see it first to see who they are? How do you evaluate a person that wants to come into your studio and do martial arts that has a different ability?
I look at them and see what their range of motion is, see what their mindset is. The most important thing is the mindset, because see, the mind controls everything else. If you can get your mind to tell your body to do what it's going to do, you might have a limit to it, but at least if you're trying to do it, that's all I'm concerned with. As long as you make the effort, it really ain't all about kicking and punching, how hard you kick and punch. It's the effort and the heart and the will that you put in behind it that determines how far you go. What is that? Attitude determines the altitude.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to look on Facebook and see if you're live. Are you live on Facebook right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you on my phone while we're talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's one thing I notice about you. You've always, like, everything that you've done, you go big or go home. With every Battle of the 7 Cities, that's the one tournament. I haven't won it yet. I've came close. I've, competed against Isaiah a couple times and Yule a couple times, and there have been some others. And I've been in your dojo, and one thing I can say about you, is I look at all of your titles up on the wall and your certificates and the things that you've accomplished. You never seem to let it go to your head, and I think that's as an instructor, you see more clearly than anybody I've ever met. And I've dealt with a lot of martial arts people. I mean, Grandmaster Preston Rogers, Master Clay. I love all of them, and I've met a martial arts family, Mr. Whitaker. They all see clearly, but you have this ability to just see straight through and really see a person for who they are.
Well, the thing is, you're only as good as your last fight. So, when you get up here and you poke your chest out and spread your wings, oh, look at me. Just the same people you see on the way up, the same ones you see on the way down. So you got to keep a mindset that, you're here to help people and people are here to help you. What they say, no man is an island.
That's so true. Wow. I remember, I've been training with you for, a couple months now. And I remember how excited I was the first time we trained, but everything was so big, to me, and your martial arts style. One thing I can tell the world about you, and as we're getting all these comments coming in,
that's what I'm trying to turn my phone on so I can see the comments. I can't see nothing.
Yeah,
I can't find
you. You went under D Space J Carter Jr.
D Space J Carter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
No, I ain't going to that one.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm at. But that's it's it just you're able to simplify things. I was telling Miss Wilson, I have a book that since we've been training, and I have I have over 50 quotes from you. And you talk about a lot of things in martial arts. You have one of my favorite quotes that you say, and you say this all the time, is you have to make it work for you. But our last session that we had, it really clicked because we were working on something called sticky hands, and it just seemed to flow, but you made it smaller, and when I don't understand something, you're able to explain it in a way that is simplified that I've never seen, and it just sticks. Like, you left, and I was like, man, I wish I could go another hour. It was so awesome. How do you simplify things that way just to make it so easy to understand?
I was where you are. And a lot of times when you got information, you can't digest it. You got to find a way to break it down. So everything that I learned, I try to break it down to even a smaller understanding. But a lot of times, a master told me one time, he says, if you want a person to learn nothing, you teach them everything. But if I want you to learn something, I teach you one thing. So that's my philosophy. I just try to teach you one thing at a time instead of teaching you a bunch of stuff. Because if I teach you a bunch of stuff, it's going to overwhelm you. And you might remember just a tad of each. So that's almost like an MMA style. They got a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this. When they put it all together, they got the MMA, mixed martial arts, almost like a soup. When you make a soup, you put all kinds of stuff in your soup, goulash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got the substance at the end. Well, what is it? Well, it's got a little bit of chicken in it. It's got a little bit of beef in it. It's got a little bit of pork in it. But what is it? I don't have a name for it. It's just all mixed up. So I'm like, okay. Same thing with martial arts. Says you got a foundation in one thing, you stick with that foundation.
I remember specifically I was having trouble punching, and you looked at me and you said, you know what? I don't like the way you're punching. And you stopped me, and my first thought was, he doesn't like the way I'm punching. Great, now I done messed up. But you changed it in turning my fist vertically and learning just a little nuance. I was like, how can this be so? Because I wanted to hit the pads, man. I wanted to hit the pads. I was like, I just want to punch the pads, but then you made it so that every contact point or every move was what did damage to a point and did it right. And I'm like, man, I see what he means. So I actually went in my book and I wrote down, I don't like the way you punch. I want you to do it, and I'm going through it. This is like, I was kind of overwhelmed at how awesome it was just to make it small. But you also said this. You said an instructor may not see what you need. They're not trained to see how you need to be trained. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, because a lot of schools, they do cookie cutter. They teach everybody the same way. They teach everybody the same thing. Sometimes you get some of it, sometimes you don't. Okay, but when you take a person, when we go to the doctor gonna look at us, he's gonna examine us, and then he gonna write me a prescription for me. He's not gonna write a prescription for you, what I need. He's not gonna give you the same prescription, and he's not gonna give me the same prescription for you, for me. So you gotta kind of be like a doctor. You gotta get the person what they need. If you're, like I have people that come to my school and they don't kick good, but they're a good puncher. So we'll work on the kicks and get the kicks to the maximum point where they're doing the best they can. And then we'll focus on the strong point, which is the punches. And if you got a person that can't punch well, but they kick well, you teach them how to kick, but you work on their punches. So each person got a different prescription, So I don't teach everybody the same way. I can teach you the same knowledge. I can teach all my students the same knowledge as far as the forms and the self-defense techniques, but what worked for me might not work for you. So we got to take each technique and modify it so it can fit your body structure. Like when I was telling you about your sparring, you sat in one spot. You're like a sitting duck. But soon you start moving your chair, it becomes harder for your opponent to hit you.
Yes, sir. I remember that. And that's when my whole martial arts style changed, because it when you're used to doing one thing one way, you talked about it. It's a cookie cutter style. When you told me to move my chair, it wasn't just a coaching point. You were there, and I remember that tournament. That was against Isaiah at the Old School Classic, and I lost that fight 7-6. But it was so much more. There was so much more to it. There was so much more substance to it. And I remember, and I try not to get emotional, because I remember that was when that tournament that you arbitrated was when my life changed forever, because that place was packed. And I remember I was in the grand championship fight, and it was so loud, and there was so much going on, but Mr. Hunter couldn't make it to that tournament. And I when the tournament started, and this is what I love about you. You said, "I want you to come over here with us. No man stands alone." And I did Taekwondo Champions with your class, which is what you do at the beginning with your creed and everything like that. And I remember how I felt making it to the grand championship fight, and you were coaching me, and you were just there for me. And at the end of the fight, I lost, and you start cheering in the background. You start going, DJ, DJ, and it got louder and louder and louder, and the whole place erupted into this and I lost the fight. So I go home, and I'm like, it stuck in my head that you were the one that pushed me to the point of not over the edge, but you were able to almost like the woodcutter working with a carving. You were able to refine my stance, my punches, everything. Just in that moment, I remember how great I felt on that fight. And I referenced that fight several times on Facebook and when I'm talking about martial arts, because you trained me and coached me out of respect. And I think that level, I will never forget that. I will never forget that moment.
Well, each time you go out and compete, even if you lose, you win. If you learn something, it ain't about the trophy. trophies get old and dusty after a while. Just like me, I'm an old dusty guy. That's what my wife tells me when I don't put my Just for Men in. Your hair getting like an old dusty trophy. So I had to put my Just for Men in, so I don't look like an old dusty trophy. But the trophy's gonna get dust on them, and you'll forget about them. You'll see them and they'll become invisible. You'll see them and then they'll be like, "What them dusty ass trophies over there looking like?" But then the knowledge don't never get dusty.
Mm-hmm.
Take knowledge and build on your knowledge.
I think one of the greatest things about you, I have studied, we would talk about this just a little bit as we're about, 45 minutes in. I remember, I study every fight that you send me. And this is something about Master Jack that everybody needs to know. He sends me information on disabled competitors or differently abled competitors every chance he gets. I don't care what he has sent me kata, he has sent me stick fighting, he has sent me sparring, he has sent me world championship. And I told Master Jack, I said, I want to be a world champion, and I want to break cinder block, and I want to do this. And I remember he looked right at me and he said, you can do what you do. You can do what you want to do, but you have to travel and you have to do this, and you like laid it out. And it was, I love the way you teach. It's like a peanut butter and banana sandwich. You just can't get enough of it. You gotta dig in there and just get more. And I just, having you in my life is a blessing. I mean, I cannot continue to just tell you what an amazing instructor you are, what an amazing man you are, and you've done this for so long. How long have you been doing martial arts now?
Since I was 14, and I'm 61 now. So, what is that?
48? Is that
47.
right? 47.
47. 47 years.
I've
been in business for since 94.
So I want to ask you this, and it's been a while. You were a world champion in 2010. You're a 3-time world champion, right? 2-time.
2010 and 2011.
2010 and 2011. What was the path like for you to become a world champion?
Well, the thing about being a world champion is like it's not just one match that you compete against. It's it's a tournament circuit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a circuit, and then each time it's kind of reminds you of the NASCAR circuit. Each time you win first, second, or third place, you get points behind your name. So when you get the points behind your name, at the end of the year, the person leading your division with the most points, they declared that division world champion for that division. So I competed in the 50 and over division. But see, back when I was younger, I didn't have the money to travel. So, that's a big thing. You got to pay for gas, hotel, your entry fees, your sparring gear, all that stuff. After a while, you get your sponsor, or you get picked up by a team. They pay for a lot of that stuff. But so I ended up with a sponsor in 2010, and so that's what made me able to run that circuit. And then in 2011, my mama started getting sick, and then she passed away. That in 2011, so that's when I kind of had to stop, because I was taking care of her.
Mm-hmm.
I was her caretaker.
Well, I'll tell you this. Miss Winnie just gave us some extra time. This show is so good. She just gave us till 3:45.
Okay, Miss Winnie.
Thank you, Miss Winnie. I love you. There's so much stuff, man. I can't even begin to tell you. Like, I want to talk about kind of some of the funny stuff that we've gone through together. Talk about the Battle of the Seven Cities, your tournament. I gave that in a 12-minute introduction, but I don't know if you got a chance to hear that one because you couldn't find me. But talk about the Battle of the Seven Cities, your tournament, and the suits that you wear. Because I always call you the King of Style, and I want the people to know what Jack Dart is and why Jack Dart is the King of Style.
You know what? You notice if you notice watching my Facebook page, you see I post a lot of the Steve Harvey stuff.
Yes, sir.
And Steve Harvey is like, he's just the coolest dresser out there. So I'm gonna be the Steve Harvey of the martial arts circuit. I like to look good. People gonna talk about you. If you look bad, they're gonna say, man, Jack don't look good, man. He looking bad. No, they're gonna talk about me. They're gonna talk about how good my outfit looks. And even to my karate, to my competitor uniform, I want to be noticed. But after when I compete, I wear a uniform that got lightning bolts on the sleeve and on the leg. And I tell them, my competitors, I say, hey, lightning gonna strike today. Sometimes it strike twice in the same place. So, it's like the Battle of the Seven Cities tournament. As the promoter, you gotta look the part. That's your pretty much your 15 minutes of fame, which I'm saying is like about 8 hours of fame. But you got to be in there shaking hands and kissing babies. You can't be looking all shabby. It look like you don't take care of yourself, because it's like that's why people come to your tournament, because you got to respect them, show them some respect. And then a lot of promoters, you go to their tournament and they don't even say thank you. They take your money and then you win or lose. All they worried is about the dollar bill. It ain't about the dollar bill. That's my thing. I mean, money gonna come. My time is what's precious to me, because I tell my students just like this. I say I can make some more money, but I can't get no more time. Everybody got a certain amount of time on this earth. You need to use it wisely. And so I've been giving the Battle of the Seven Cities 18 years, I think. So that's a long time, yeah. And it all started because I was doing a martial art program at Calvary Christian School in Norfolk, and after school program. So they had like a little small gymnasium. So I asked the people, I said, hey, how much would you charge me to use the gym? I like to put a tournament on. And they said, oh, just you go ahead and use it, because you're part of the staff, and we'll go ahead and let you use it. So the first year I had like 80 competitors and probably about 200 spectators. And then I was like, oh man, it was a hard day, because I didn't know what I was doing. But I had Master Rogers there and I had Master Clay there, and they pretty much ran the show. But it was the stress levels like through the roof, because you want to make sure everything goes good. So after we gave the tournament, the first one, then I do the tournament in June. I tried to do it right before everybody get out to go away for the summer. I had the summertime. So I was like, in January, people started texting me and calling me and said, hey, what day is your tournament this year? And I was like, they didn't want to do another one. So then there I go again. Number 2 came along. And so that's when the ball started rolling. I was like, okay, and each year the numbers get better and better. I went from 80 competitors to the last one I had like 225 competitors. Now you keep in mind that where every one competitor is at least 2 spectators coming with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have close to like 600 people in the gym. And then we had it at Granby High School for like Granby High School in Norfolk for like 10 years. Then they got a new athletic director, and he going to dictate to me, oh, well, you can't, we got to get you concessions. I'm like, I'm already paying for the gym. And then on top of that, you want to get the concessions. I was like, no, I'll make a donation to the athletic program, but I'm not going to give you my concessions. So he was like, well, that's the only way you can get the gym. I said, well, that's okay. I'll move my location. Because, it's like if you're giving me the gym for free, that's one thing. You can get the concession. But if you're going to stick your hand in my pocket, and, that's all cash money, so they'll probably take that and put that in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you ain't doing that to me. So, that's kind of the downside of doing it. But the upside is all these kids that win trophies, they get so much confidence. And sometimes you get the 3 and 4 year olds, and you got a 3-foot trophy, and the trophy is almost as big as the 3-year-old that's walking out the door with it.
Right.
So, you see their eyes like, and you're affecting kids be competing for, like, I give away bicycles, for the grand champion round. So I think the next time I might go with because the kids getting to the point where they tired of the bicycles, I might give away a flat screen TV. That's what I'm thinking about.
Master Jack.
They're like the technology these days.
Right. Master Jack, that's one thing about your tournament. Talking about the Battle of the Seven Cities, I remember 2018 before Rona came in here and done messed up everything. I remember going over to the table where the 2 belts were sitting, and looking at the 2 belts. I must have spent 15 minutes over there before the tournament starts, just looking at the belts. And to win that tournament, and I know, you know, to the Facebook fans that are watching this right now, you know, I believe in myself more now because of what Jack has done for me, and his teaching and his motivation. Every tournament I've been to, every single tournament I've been to, Jack has been there. I've competed in 15 tournaments, 20 tournaments. Now, that's not 20 years worth of tournaments. That's 10 years worth of tournaments. And I'm sitting here in my room looking at these trophies, and I right in the center is my black belt of the year. And I want to talk about that just for a minute, because I remember when I went to Martinsville, and Grandmaster Rogers had the old school, the Superstars Old School Martial Arts Tour Championship, and that was on November 11th, 2017. And they were giving out awards at the beginning of the tournament, and they said, you know, this person's been to 4 tournaments this year and competed in 4 tournaments, and you know, won in his divisions, and you know, hasn't won a grand championship yet. And they presented me with the plaque of black belt of the year, and I remember thinking, how am I black belt of the year? And I felt like I hadn't been there long enough, you know, that I hadn't paid my dues to win black belt of the year. But later on, I remember talking to you about it, and I remember you talked to me about putting in the work, that I you know, came to the tournaments, and I did well, and I tried hard. You're always motivating an individual, and that just makes me so proud to learn under you, to learn from you, to be past the knowledge that you give.
Well, the thing is when you get out there and you put the effort out there, you know, it don't go unnoticed. You know what I'm saying? Like, not only me, but the other, like I said, Master Rogers in the martial art community, he saw it. You know, it take a lot to be able to stand out there and being in a chair and then compete against able-bodied men, and then either hit them or they hit you. That takes a lot. That takes a lot of heart. You know, you get people that they got, you know, they're all in mobility, and they won't get out there and try it. So, you know, it's about that mindset.
And I think a lot of that, you know, some of it is fear. And I've learned, you know, Miss Winnie has said this, you have said this, sometimes you got to push through the fear. You got to get out there and do your best. And I learned very quick, and this is also something that you said that I have in my book, one of the third quotes that you said to me, and it's, you're going to lose more tournaments than you win, but you can learn from a loss instead of a win. And I'm like, your quotes stick with me like glue. You are like, I don't know. I kind of, I'll go ahead and say it. You know, I've looked up to you as a son would look up to a father, because you just have that mentality to care about your students. And for this part of the show, I want to talk about your studio. Now, your new location is on Lynnhaven Parkway Shopping Center, right? Your new location?
Parkway Shopping Center. We've been here a year, since August last year. We moved into this space, and we've been here a year, and it's doing pretty good. I mean, it's people are starting to come out now. Corona had everybody on lockdown, but people are starting to come out, and they're interested in taking classes now. So this is a better look. I think this is the best. It's the smallest location. No, not the smallest. My very first one was for smallest, but it's way smaller than the last one. Last location I was on Virginia Beach Boulevard near Janif, and I had 2,700 square feet. Now over here I got 1,600 square feet, so it's like, you know, 1,000 square feet less.
Right.
But the rent is a little bit more, but the location is a whole lot better. So I'm paying the rent over here. I'm having fun.
Now, see, this right here is what people need to know, and this is where I'm gonna go next. You have said to me, and I love this. This is my favorite thing about Grandmaster Jack Dart. It's not always about numbers. You could have 30 students, you could have 20 students, or you could have 50 students. and you teach each student, it's never too big. How do you avoid it? Some schools have 200 members and don't know their names. How do you avoid it getting too big?
I would like to have 200 students, but the thing is quality control. You got to be able to control the quality of your product, and you got to build a relationship with the student. Don't treat them like a number. Treat them like a person. So if you treat if you treat your student like a person, and you communicate with them, and you talk to them, you take time to spend with them, it's better to be loved than feared. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
If I love you, I'll do anything in the world for you. But if I fear you, as soon as I get a chance to get away from you, I will. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I can threaten you. I can put fear in your heart and make you learn martial arts, or I can be compassive. I can have compassion, and say, okay, that didn't work that time. Let's try it this way this time. Let's try again. And then once you figure out that once I find the keyhole to make it, if I can get you to do a technique good one time, then I know it's 1,000 times to follow that. You might not get it right every time, but if you do it one time correctly, then I can get you to do it 2 times correctly. And then, and I'm putting my heart into my student. I'm not just treating them like a number, just trying to get the money. Like I said, if I wanted to make money, I can get a regular job, working 40 hours a week. But see, this is something that I love to do. And see, like Mr. Hankins told me, I said, Mr. Hankins, I said, why did you decide to teach? Why did you decide to teach me? I asked him the same question. He said, because I saw a person that needed my help. And that's the same thing I see. I see people that need my help. So if I like this weekend, one of my black belt brothers, he was Mr. Hankins' first black belt named Butch.
Mm-hmm.
And Butch called me a couple weeks back. He said, yeah, man, I just moved to my apartment. He said, well, now I just got to get the rest of my stuff out of storage. I'm like, okay. I said, so when you want to do it? He said, what you mean? I said, Labor Day coming up. I'm not coming up there Labor Day weekend, but I'll be up there next weekend, which was last Friday. I jumped in the car and I went up there and we rented a truck and I helped him move his stuff. And I got back on my car and I came back home. I see, if you need my help, if I'm down for you, I'm going to do what I can do to help you. If I take my time to come help you. So the same thing with martial arts. Take my time to teach you. I expect you to take your time to learn.
I want to talk about one of my favorite things that you showed me. I remember the first time I came to your studio, and you talked about, I talked about Yule Carter. I was all about Yule Carter. Yule. That's how I got into Jack Dark, because I started watching Yule Carter, and you took Yule Carter under your wing. And one of my favorite moves that you do is a blitz. And I saw Yule do that move. And I told you I wanted to learn the blitz. And last time when we trained, we worked for 45 minutes on the blitz, coming up and over, inside, up and over. And I kept going outside. I kept going outside over and over and over again. And you took...
you're dyslexic, right? I'm just joking.
I took... That's all right.
I found out over the years that I was a little bit dyslexic too. I was a manager in a clothing store, and I would do the books at the end of the night. And if the number was like 549, I write down 594. Then I couldn't figure out why my books wasn't balancing. Then the next day I come back and look, my assistant manager would check it out. She said, you inverted the numbers. Instead of putting 49, you put down 94. So I was like, man, and I did that quite often.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. So I know I had a little case of dyslexia, but anyway, that's another story for another day.
I remember I was having trouble with it, and I started getting frustrated, and you stopped and you looked at me and you said, DJ, remember, frustration is a mindset. That's quote number 15 in this book, y'all. You gotta you gotta understand, for Master Jack to say something, words are powerful, and when he's teaching me, I'm on a whole nother level with Master Jack. It just, it becomes something that sticks to me like glue. So I was having trouble getting the blitz, and I kept going outside and up instead of inside and up. So he physically took my wrist and my elbow and went through the move frame by frame and said, "You're stopping right here. Come up." And then I did it and almost hit you in the head, and I felt bad. I love that though. Frustration is a mindset. So many students get frustrated and stop. But you have said it before. Frustration is a mindset.
Yeah, frustration is a teacher as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be frustrated, and then you got to figure out, wait a minute, why am I getting frustrated? Then you got to back up and look at it. And sometimes you got to step outside yourself and look at the situation as a third person.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can learn from that.
You have taught so many students and taught so much. I'm honored. This to me right here, even all the technology troubles at the beginning, I was so excited, man. I said, finally, Master Jack is going to be on the air, and because your interview with Miss Winnie was so good, and I was like, man, I finally get to interview him, and it's like, I guess I've said before, you go the extra mile for people, and you believe in people, but I think that's what makes you so genuine, because you give people the benefit of the doubt until they give you a reason not to give them that.
Correct.
And I just, I think, your martial arts and your standards, not only with the teaching methods, but it's a lifestyle. You and I have talked about, martial arts itself. Martial arts for me is not something I just do for fun. Some people do martial arts to work out. Some people do martial arts to get in shape. Some people, do martial arts because they want to lose weight. Me, I started living it. And as a martial artist, it changes you. When you become a black belt, it changes you. But here's the thing. I know I will become a second degree black belt. I've had that mindset for a long time. But a mindset, a second degree black belt under your care, I feel like I can fly, versus under maybe another style. It's like, well, I can go ahead and put my foot off the ground, and that's about it. I guess I take more out of it and get more out of it when you with what you give. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where I am with the Jack Dart philosophy. I believe that everything you give, somebody can use wholeheartedly.
Well, like I said, every student is different. Every student makes me a better instructor. I got these kids in here with ADHD and attention hyperactivities and learning disabled, learning delayed learning. They got all these problems. So each student, if I got a classroom of 5 kids or 10 kids, I can demonstrate something, and 7 kids will pick it up right away. And then you got 1 kid who'll pick up some of it, and then you got 1 kid who had a little bit of difficult and can do something. Then you got 1 kid who just can't get it. So then I have to make sure that I got a way to relay the same information that the 7 other kids have, to find a way to relay the same information to the kid that can't get it, the kid that got some of it, and the kid that didn't get any of it. So that way, that makes me a better instructor. Again, each person processes information differently. Therefore, I have to have a different method for each person to learn by. It can't be cookie cutter. Like McDonald's got the sign, we've got 80 billion burgers served, and all of the burgers taste just alike, they look just alike. But then when you ask for something special, I want one without the pickles. They got to make that one special, because that's the request that you put in. But you got to treat each person like an individual instead of treating them like the mass. You can't treat everybody the same way. Some people you can yell at and say, punch harder, kick harder. Then some people are like, come on, Johnny, you got to kick a little higher for me. I know you can do better than that. Some people can't stand to be yelled at. Mm-hmm. Mr. Hank is my teacher. He said, if you come through my door, I'll make you a champion. But he treated everybody the same way. He treated everybody, and that was his method. But at the same time, he would push you to your level, and then he would break you down to the side and go, okay, now this is what you need to do. You need to do this. Like Bernard, he would teach Bernard how to shift his footwork. So he got his right side forward, which he didn't have an arm, but then he would bring his left arm across it and put it where his right shoulder would be to protect that side. So he would drive you to the point where you couldn't figure that you couldn't do it anymore, and then he would pull you to the side and then give you the confidence that you can do it some more by modifying the technique to fit your body structure. Like I said, I got people that never be good kickers, they never be good punchers, but they understand the subject matter, and it's the mindset, the effort that you're putting into it, which determines what you get out of it. If you come in with a look, like I said, some of these kids that come in, if you come in with an attitude like, I don't want to be here today, stay your butt home, because I don't need you bringing that negative energy to me.
Wow.
But at the same time, when you come in, you got to be ready to work.
Yes, sir.
What technique that might not work for you, or that might work for somebody else, might not work for you, then I got to modify the technique so it can work for you. Modification is the key. Just like when you got your chair fitted for you, somebody else can come and sit in the chair, but it won't be fitted for them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So you got to be able to have that flexibility to be able to, as an instructor, to be flexible enough to be able to know when and what to teach people.
Well, I've got about 3 questions left for you, and I saved these 3 for last because I wanted to ask these during the interview, and I want to see where this goes. In your career of 47 years of martial arts thus far, do you have a moment that sticks out in your mind that I would say would be your greatest martial arts moment so far? What would you say in your time of 47 years, being 61 years old, training what you've trained and doing what you've done, what would you say is your greatest martial arts moment thus far? Do you have one?
When I promoted my son and my daughter to black belt. I think that was my greatest accomplishment, that I felt that, because I felt like I trained them hard enough and well enough where they earned it, but I didn't give it to them. They earned it. They earned it. That being able to promote my son and my daughter, they made black belt together. Because Rico, my son, he's 26. And my daughter, she's just turned 21 last week. Mm-hmm. But they both made black belt, first degree black belt together. Because Rico, he was in and out. He would stop, and he would quit, and he would start, and he would quit, and he would start. So then when Asia got started, I said, don't let your sister make black belt before you. So then they were both consistent together. And they made black belt with 5 other people. It was 7 of them that tested that day. So that was my proudest moment, that I was to tie my black belt around my son's waist and around my daughter's waist. But then other than that, winning my world champion title in 2010, I felt like I had arrived. I felt I had accomplished something. I didn't feel like I was a C-lister anymore. I felt like I had at least moved up to the B-list of martial arts, in the martial art community. But you know what? A lot of people say, oh, you're an A-lister. No, you can't never say you're an A-lister. You always want to strive to be an A-lister. You always want to strive to be a who's who. And so if you're always working, don't be complacent in just saying, well, I got my black belt now. And I've had a bunch of people do that. They come in, they'll be with me for 4 or 5 years, and they get their black belt, then all of a sudden they quit. You'll never see them again. Oh, I just wanted to get my black belt now. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to learn how to play the guitar, or I'm going to play soccer, or I'm going to be basketball star, or I'm going to run track. Okay. See you.
My second question for you is this: what is next for Jack Dark? What do you see? Do you have a goal that you've set in your martial arts career that you want to do again? Is there a new goal for Master Dark? What's next for me?
I want to get one more world champion title. I want to do a 3-peat. So I got 2010, 2011. I want to do it again one more time. And then that was my goal, to do a 3-peat. And then maybe one day, maybe. And I always say I wanted to be in a martial art movie. So if I do my 3-peat and then get in a martial art movie, that pretty much all I want to do with my martial art career. But that's in the future.
Okay. This last question was given to me by Mr. Whitaker, and I promised him that I would ask it. And it's something that I've never asked you before. He says to me that a martial artist never stops. A true martial artist, never quits. Do you believe in everything that you've done? You talked about Rico and Asia, promoting them. You've talked about me, coming into your life with Battle of the Seven Cities. Do you believe that a true martial artist ever stops being a martial artist?
No, you don't stop.
Why?
You don't stop. It's a lifestyle. I promoted 56 people over my career. I promoted 56 people. Isaiah Pace was the last one that got promoted by me, and he was number 56. And there's a couple of them that I promoted that I didn't put a number on. So it's probably been about 60 people that I promoted. Mm-hmm. And throughout my martial art, being in business for myself and through my school. But yeah, you can't quit. Even look, when I'm an older man, because right now everybody says you're old man. I'm 61. I'll be 62 next month. But when I'm in my 70s, I'm still gonna be doing this. Mm-hmm. When I'm in my 80s, if I live to be that old, I'm still gonna be doing it. I'm always gonna be around it or participating in it or teaching somebody else how to teach. I'm always gonna be involved in it. It's just a lifestyle. See, and it's about changing people's lives. You change people's lives through martial arts. Martial arts is the tool that we use to create character, to build character. And you work on the outside with the physical part, the push-ups and the sit-ups and the kicking and the punching and the running in place and the mountain climbs. You work on the physical side to cultivate the spiritual side. When you cultivate the spiritual side, that's where your mindset changes. Now, once I can change your mindset, we go back to the physical side, which the mind controls the body. Mm-hmm. Not the body controls the mind, because when I get you doing a whole bunch of push-ups, squats, sit-ups, jumping jacks, running plates, kicking punches, all that stuff, your muscles going to get tired. They're going to say, they're going to tell your brain, I'm tired, I can't do this no more. But then when you get where your mindset change, and you get the second win, now your mind is telling you, I can do some more, I can do this again, I can do it over, I can repeat this, I can do it 1,000 times. So you get to the point where the physical cultivates the spiritual, and that builds character. So, like Bruce Lee said, don't fear the man that can do 10,000 techniques. You fear the man that can do one technique 10,000 times. Mm-hmm. So, you got to be able to cultivate that spirit and build a character through martial arts. Martial arts is just the mechanism that we use to cultivate character.
Would you do us a favor and just let people know how they can get in contact with you if they're interested in martial arts? Let them know how they can get in contact with you, your social media, things like that, just so people can get a hold of you.
Yes, sir. I have an Instagram account, but I'm technically challenged. I don't ever check that. And then only thing I keep a track of, I got a personal Facebook account, Jack Doc, and then I got the Jack Doc Taekwondo Champions, which is a studio Facebook account, or you can call the studio 757-416-1120, or you can call me directly on my cell phone, 757-630-1682. When you think Jack Doc, think martial arts. When you think martial arts, think Jack Doc. Jack Doc, Taekwondo champion, Battle of the Seven Cities.
I knew it was coming.
1968. Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23453.
I knew it was coming. I was just waiting for it. Last thing, I want to say this, and I want to get you to leave a inspirational word for our guests. But I want to say this out loud and make sure this gets on the radio because I want people to know this. You know, I believe in Jack Dart. I believe in everything Jack Dart stands for. I have since day one. And he talked about, you know, martial arts being a lifestyle. I'm going to make a personal guarantee to myself and to Master Dart. Not only will I become a second degree black belt, but I know whenever time it happens, I know Master Jack will be tying that belt around my waist. And I know it's going to take time and effort, but I'm going to do it because if he believed in me this long and gave me that one chance, I can't turn away from him. I can't do it. Because if I turn away from him, I turn away from myself. And that's not the attitude of a martial artist. I'm going to go as high as I can go until I can't go anymore. And that's my goal. That's my goal. And I want to say thank you, Master Dart, for everything that you've done for me and giving me the chance when no one else would, believing in me when not a lot of people did, and giving me the opportunity to become a true martial artist within myself. It means a lot to me to have you in my corner. I thank you for that very much.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, you know, and one more thing I would like to say is like integrity is everything. Like I said, man's word is all he got. So, you know, when you go into a studio, this is what I'm telling for people in general, you don't not necessarily have to come to my studio, but if you go in any person's studio, you know, look at the integrity of the instructor. You know, look at the certification, certificates on the wall. You know, don't be ashamed to ask them, well, who taught you and who taught him? Look at the lineage of the school. You know, look at the product. Look what's going on the floor. If the students look like garbage, the instructor probably teaching garbage. You know, I know black belts that at one point they was a lower belt, then they pop up with a black belt, and then they skip from first degree to third degree, and then they, you know, the integrity is questionable. You know, and over the years you watch them and you know, they'll use you to hang on to your coattail, you know, to get credibility with their name. And then, you know, integrity is the key. You got to have good integrity when you teach martial arts as an instructor, because if you lead by example, if you see me doing good, my students going to do good. If the students see me smoking and drinking and acting a fool, then that's what they think that's martial arts is all about, and that's not it. Now, back in the day, back in the early time, you know, martial art masters, they teach class and then they go to the back of the school, go out the back door and smoke a cigarette. Then they come back in and teach class again. You know, that's what that instructor's integrity was all about. But me, I don't smoke, don't drink, never have, never will. And I try to lead by example because, you know, especially with today's technology, it's cameras on you all the time. All they want is one thing, so they can say, oh, look I caught him doing this. You know, he was drinking a beer. Or I've been out with instructors after the tournament, and they would be sitting there at the restaurant with some of the parents and the students, and they'd be ordering all kinds of alcohol and saying all kinds of stuff out their mouth. And they forget their students and parents are sitting right there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man. But anyway, integrity is what it's all about. Character development, discipline, focusing, leadership, loyalty, not only loyalty to yourself, but loyalty to your school and your style. You know, the style is only as good as the person. There's no one style better than another style. If people say, what do you think about judo? What do you think about jiu-jitsu? What do you think about karate? What do you think about taekwondo? What do you think about kickboxing? I think they're all great. Any system of self-defense martial art training is better than none at all. But at the same time, the style is only as good as the competitor. So,
wow.
With that being said, it's time for DJ Slipper Slide to slide on out of here.
Look, I couldn't have said it better myself. We do have a question from the audience real quick. I want to make sure to get this in. They were asking about, Miss Wilson was asking about the body bag jack and the women's self-defense class. Are you going to be doing that again? Are you looking at doing that again? And
well, you know what? funny that you asked. I just started doing the women's self-defense class. I was doing the free ones for a little while before COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the free ones, but now I'm doing the regular Monday and Wednesday night, 6:30 to 7:30. I'm doing a regular women's self-defense program, and I got 3 people that's doing it with me now. So, but the Body by Jack, I got a messed up hip. My right hip, so I can't do really the cardio program right yet. I got to get to the doctor and see what they can tell me about this hip. But other than that, the other program, the self-defense program, I'm teaching that right now. As a matter of fact, I got people coming in tonight for that class. It started on Monday night, and then tonight, the person called me and said they bring another person, so that'll be 3 people I have on that for that program.
All right, Miss Winnie. So you wanted to know about the women's self-defense class. He's got it out there. All you got to do is give him a call. Listen, I want to thank Grandmaster Jack Dart, 2-time world champion 2010, 2011. One of the greatest instructors in the world that I've known for many, many years, and an honor and a privilege to have him on My CP Does Not Define Me. Y'all know what I say. I'm D to the J with the roll away, and this is My CP Does Not Define Me. We are live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch me on Instagram at MyCP Does Not Define Me. Catch me on Twitter at MyCP Does Not Define Me at Minion Sports. Catch me on Facebook at J Carter Jr. You can catch me on my new blog at CarterDJ85 at Wix.com/MySite1. I'm all out there. YouTube is cooking with DJ Carter Capable Cuisine, Chairmaster Games, and most and foremost, My CP Does Not Define Me live. All right, y'all take it easy. Thank you so much. If you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. This is D to the C to the Dr. J saying I'll see you a little bit later next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for My CP Does Not Define Me.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
All right, Master Jack.
Peace.